I remember after school, I ended up following this girl around and I ended up seeing her just sitting in a park bench. I was so confused because I thought this girl was gonna go home, but one thing led to another. She pulled out a blanket and she started sleeping on the bench. That's when I realized this girl's homeless. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba and welcome back to another insane but really sad story. Now, usually on this channel, I don't like to say sad stories at all, but this one I think I gotta tell because I don't think this is the only person that is going through this. But I remember this story all takes place back when I was in grade 9. Now, in grade 9, I was just a genuine kid that really didn't understand anything because, well, going from middle school to high school is a major big deal. But not only that, one thing was for sure, I really wanted to basically learn how to riz women and pull girls since, well, I'm not gonna lie, my middle school years was just me falling in love with my crush over and over and never actually pulling her until later on. But that's a story for another day. This story, like I said, takes place back in grade 9, and in my grade 9 year, I remember I was walking down the school hallway. I was walking down the hallway with a couple of my friends that I knew from back in middle school, and one thing led to another. We ended up seeing a girl that was just sitting down reading a textbook. Now, sitting down and reading is a common thing that I think most high schoolers do, but sitting down and reading a textbook? Yeah, you got me wildin' on that one, Chief. I remember I ended up going up to her and seeing what she was reading, and she was reading a science textbook, and I remember as I was peeking over to see what she was doing, she looks at me and says, are you also my science class? I don't know. When's your science class? Oh, third block. Oh, yeah, actually, we are in the same science class. What the hell? Oh, cool. I'm a new transfer student. I just came in recently. Oh, that's good. Did your family just move here? Yeah, something like that. Oh, okay. Well, here, let me look at your class list. I remember she ended up handing me a piece of paper, and at that moment, all my friends that were with me earlier ended up walking away, thinking that I was gonna try to pull this girl. But in reality, something felt really off about this girl. I remember I was basically walking around the school with her afterwards and showing her classes that she would need to go to and where they were located at. And this girl really was appreciative. At this moment, to be honest, I wasn't even thinking about pulling this girl. I just actually genuinely wanted to help. But obviously, after showing her around, she ends up looking at me and saying, oh, well, thanks for everything. Seriously, means a lot. Yeah, no problem. Here, can I have your number? Oh, I don't have a number, but I can give you my email. Sure. I remember this girl ends up typing down her email, and since iPhones, you're allowed to text through emails, and iCloud, you're able to technically, text them as if they had a phone. So that's what me and her did. I remember she would only text me on times when she had Wi-Fi, and honestly, over time, something just felt really wrong about this girl, because I remember ever since the day I met her, she would always arrive to school super early. Like, I'm talking 6 a.m. when class started at 9:30. And not only that, but even after school, she would stay for long periods of time loitering around the hallways until everyone was asked to leave the school so they can fully lock down. I never understood why this girl stayed there for so long. I just thought maybe she liked school a lot, until one day I remember I ended up texting her on my phone saying, hey, like, what are your plans for after school today? Nothing. Why? Oh, like, I was just wondering, do you want to like maybe go grab something to eat? Oh, I don't really know. I'm kind of like saving up money right now and I don't really want to spend. Oh no, it's okay. It's totally on me. Okay, sure. I'll see you after school. Yeah, sounds good. I remember that moment. I was kind of happy because, I technically pulled a date, but at the same time, I just wanted to understand this girl even more. And also maybe she could help me out with my homework. But I remember when after school finally came, I ended up seeing her, and me and her, we ended up heading towards the mall. We went into the mall food court and me and her started eating and basically talking about life and stuff. And that's when I ended up learning a lot about her. Like, for example, she wasn't close with her family anymore since of family drama that happened. And not only that, but she really had a world where no one was with her. At times like these, I could tell that she was really sad, and I just wanted to be there for her because I'm gonna be honest, to anyone watching this video going through a hard time, feeling that they're totally alone, you always have someone to talk to. You just have to be strong enough to reach out to them. But other than the inspirational message, I remember after me and her ate, we ended up walking around, and I remember she ended up looking at the time and saying, oh, it's getting late. Honestly, like, shouldn't you go home? Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's getting late, I guess. Okay, well, I'll see you tomorrow at school. And I remember she ended up walking away. I remember I was really confused on why she just ended the date so quickly, but at the same time, I didn't want to make it sound weird and try to, like, talk to her even more and saying that I had time. So what I ended up doing was walking the other direction. But as I was walking away, I kept looking back at her, and she kept looking back at me as if she had a secret that she wasn't telling me. And that's when I started to worry, because the last time a girl did something like this, they ended up ending the date with me and then going to go see their other boyfriend. And I did not want to have that traumatic experience again. So me knowing that I need to know the truth, I ended up basically following her. I know it sounds really creepy, but at the same time, you gotta understand, when you had a traumatic experience, you kind of try to do whatever you can to prevent it. So I ended up following this girl secretly without her knowing. And as I was tailing her, I remember I ended up finally getting to a point where she was at the park, and she ended up sitting at the bench just waiting. I was super confused on who she was waiting for, but as I was sitting there watching her for almost 2 hours. It ended up getting dark out. So I remember I actually ended up pulling out my phone and tried texting her to basically like, you know, make sure she was okay and if she got home safe. But that's the thing. She didn't have Wi-Fi, so she couldn't reply. And one thing led to another. I remember this girl ends up going into her backpack and she pulls out a blanket and starts laying down on the park bench. At that moment, I started to freak out because that's when I realized this girl was homeless. She had nowhere to go and she was basically living on the street. And at that moment, I got emotional and I started crying. I didn't let her see me crying, obviously, but I felt really bad. Seeing that she was basically living on the street, and for a girl that was only in grade 9, I was not okay with this whatsoever. To be honest, my heart broke. And it wasn't even from a girl. Well, technically it was, but not in that way that you guys are thinking. So I remember as I saw her laying down, I ended up walking up to her and I said, "Hey, what are you doing here?" "What, Baba? Is that you? What are you doing at the park?" "Well, I mean, I was here with family and they ended up going back home early, so I just started to walk around and I saw you laying down." "Oh, well, yeah, I don't know, this is kind of awkward." "Well, what's awkward about it?" "Well, I mean, I'm kind of not in a good situation." I remember that moment she started to tear up and I felt really bad to the point where I sat down beside her and said, "Hey, like, you don't need to cry. It's okay. If you want, I'm sure my parents will let you stay in our guest room for a bit and, you know, we have food and everything, so at least you'll be safe. And since we go to the same school, I mean, my parents can just drive us to school every day until you figure things out." I remember she looked up at me and she started smiling and saying, "Wait, really?" "Yeah, really. Just here. Come on, let's go." I remember I ended up bringing her home and my mom got pissed. No joke, she got so upset to the point where she ended up taking me to the other room and started yelling at me. But when I told them the situation, that's when my mom ended up looking at the girl and looking at me saying, "Okay, Baba, she can stay in the guest room. Please take care of her, okay?" "Okay, mom," is what I told her. And that's when she ended up staying at our place. She ended up staying at our place for around 2 weeks until one thing led to another. I remember there was one night where she ended up coming into my room really late at night and she ended up laying beside me. I remember I turned my body over to her and said, "Hey, like, is everything all right? Why are you in my room?" "Honestly, like, I don't know, I'm not used to sleeping by myself." "Wait, what?" And that's when me and her, we ended up actually doing the Devil's Tango. And before anyone says anything, it wasn't my plan to do the Devil's Tango with her, okay? It was just an emotional moment that just happened. But I remember after that day, things got really weird because me and her having conversations got really awkward. And well, I'm not gonna lie, one thing I started to realize was that this girl was getting really attached to the point where she would follow me around school. And not only that, but she would also like basically tell people that I was her boyfriend. It was a major disaster. And like, even though I really wanted to help out this girl, I'm not gonna lie, I had to make sure she understood that there was nothing between us other than just me trying to help her out. So I remember one day after school, as me and her were walking back to my place, I ended up looking at her saying, "Hey, like, I just want to let you know, like, what happened that night was just a one-time thing. Like, I don't see you in any other way than just a friend." "Wait, what? What's wrong? Why are you not attracted to me?" "Well, no, it's just like, I don't know, like, I just don't see us being together." "Baba, are you kidding me?" "You know what? Then I don't think I should stay at your place." At that moment when we got to the house, she ended up packing all her stuff and she actually ended up going to one of my friends' houses and staying with him. It was kind of awkward because one thing led to another. She ended up dating one of my friends from high school, but at the same time, like, I was just trying to help. But I guess what she ended up doing was just leeching off another person, which, I mean, it's all right since, you know, they became girlfriend and boyfriend, but overall, it's just none of my business. I don't know. What would you guys do if you guys found out someone was homeless at your school? Would you guys help them out? Because if you would, then follow for more embarrassing stories just like this one. Peace out, guys.